Coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, this is Punk Brats, a podcast focused on the lives and experiences of our military brats. We didn't serve, we got served. Now here are your Punk Brats, Rose and Lisa.
Hey, it's Rose.
Hey, this is Lisa. Welcome to another episode of Punk Brats. Hey, Rose, what's going on?
Not too much. I'm probably just going to dive right into my Did You Know this month.
Yeah, why?
Because this month is April and it is the month of the military child, also known as a brat.
Oh my gosh, it's our month.
Yeah,
Military Brat Month.
And there's actually a day too. It's April 30th.
The day. April 30th.
Yeah, April 30th.
Wow, well, happy Brat Day to all of us, right? There's like a ton of us.
For sure.
I wonder how many military brats are out there right now. I'm sure there's a number. I saw it online. But
if I recall, it was from one of our other episodes. Off the top of my head, I think there's like 1.5 million.
Wow.
Current brats. And they actually outnumber the number of service people in the military.
I also heard that 1 in 25 Americans is a military brat.
Yeah,
I would believe that number. So, wow, we get a whole month. We get one day to celebrate that whole month. So, April 30th every year is Military Brat Day. So happy Brat Day to all of us. Yay. Clap, 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 clap. Yes. Speaking of military brats,
let's bring in the other third of our punk brats.
Yes, this is the special episode introducing Chris Adams, my other half, my better half, also known as Monkey Boo Productions, who puts this whole thing together. Welcome, Chris Adams. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Punk Brats. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, Punk Brat Chris.
Hi, Punk Brat. Hi. I said hi, Punk Bat. Hi, Punk Brat Chris. What's going on?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on today. I'm excited to be part of the actual radio broadcast today.
Yeah, well, you're probably, if not the most important part of Punk Press. I mean, we all bring something to the table, but you actually bring us to our audience. So
yeah, he puts it all together.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. And you also wrote the Punk Brats theme song. Thank you.
Yes, which I love.
Well, you were inspiration for that, Rose. If you remember several years ago, you said you wanted to start a podcast. And I said, well, if you ever start a podcast, I want to do your podcast theme. And I said, give me some inspiration. And you told me Mars Volta or the Mars Volta.
Actually, it was Volbeat.
Oh, was it Volbeat?
Yeah, it was Volbeat.
So I took my inspiration from the Mars Volta.
Well, that's
actually
okay.
A song called El Via Quez. So that song's pretty inspirational to the punk.
That's cool. Now I'm going to have to go back and listen to some Mars Volta. Well, I say their name all the time.
I'm going to have to go listen to some Volbeat.
Yeah, I just think that's hilarious. I wonder how many songs Chris has written saying he's inspired by whatever. And
anyway,
wrong band.
It's so cool. That is so cool, actually.
So tell our audience, Monkey Boo Productions, a little bit about yourself and what makes you a brat.
Oh, what makes me a brat?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My father was in the United States Air Force. He served for just over 31 years. Born as Albuquerque, New Mexico at Kirkland Air Force Base. We then moved to Alexandria, Virginia, where my father was attached with the Pentagon. From there, we moved to Whiteman Air Force Base, which is in Warrensburg, Missouri. We lived there exactly 4 months. Then my father got transferred to Francis E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Then we were transferred to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. Then he got orders after 8 months in Tucson to move to Dyess Air Force Base in Abilene, Texas. And then finally his last his last assignment was at Offutt Air Force Base, which at the time was Strategic Air Command Headquarters, SAC headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska. And he retired there in 83 and took a position in Los Alamos for the National Laboratory. I spent from 8th grade through my junior year, 6 weeks left in my junior year in Los Alamos. With 6 weeks left, my parents told me that they accepted an opportunity in Dallas, Texas. And so I asked, couldn't I at least finish out my junior year here, stay with some friends? You guys can go for the last 6 weeks. And
just
my
leave
mom
me here.
said, no. Yeah. She said, no, I don't want you to be that strange kid that moved in over the summer. So I was just the strange kid that was there the last 6 weeks of the junior year. And I was reminded that my entire senior year, they're like, hey, didn't you move here with 6 weeks left in the year? That was me.
You know what? Yeah, go for it. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I'm fine. And so that's kind of how I ended up in Texas. My senior year, I didn't know where to go to college. I'd already kind of had my college set out, obviously, at the end of my junior year. And Texas was not part of my plans. And so I had a neighbor that had only lived here for a couple of years, and he was from New Jersey. And I asked him, I said, well, where are you going to go to college? He goes, I want to get the hell out of Texas. And he said, but we can't afford out-of-state tuition. And I said, well, I want to get the hell out of Texas too. And he said, well, you need to go to the University of Texas because that's the only university that anybody outside of Texas even knows. And again, this was a few years ago. And of course, that was really outside of the Aggies. That was the only university that I was, really that familiar with from living throughout the United States. So that's kind of my story. I came down here to the University of Texas, and I've been in the Austin area for the last 37 years, and I've called Texas my home. Really a majority of my life now.
Well, I was so impressive.
You asked for the.
I got it. Well, I lost count, but I was going to say I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier, but I was going to relate. Rose and I can relate to being the new kid because every time our parents moved us, we never moved where we were starting school on the first day with everyone. We were always the new kid. And there we are going to the principal's office to check in and then walking down that hallway and your heart racing like, oh my God, they're about to open the classroom and introduce me to like, who knows how many kids staring at you. And I just remember in 6th grade in Camp Zama, them opening up the door and just pushing me in there saying, hey, here's the new kid. And everybody just staring at me. And I'm like, hi, I'm Lisa Q.
Yeah. But one of the things about being a military brat, though, is that almost every kid in that classroom was in that exact same position.
Oh, yeah.
Which wouldn't have been, I guess what you would call just a traditional public school.
I know, but at that moment, man. Oh, and
well,
it was
I think y'all's experience is significantly different in that regard, Rose, because I only went to one Dodd school my entire life, and that was at Dias, and that was our elementary school. Every other middle school, high school, anything like that, elementary school that either my sisters or I went to were always out in the economy. So we were always kind of the military kids that went to, public school. And so that was an interesting experience because, while there were, other military kids, a majority of the kids that I went to school with were civilian, really.
Wow, that sounds a lot more scary than
it was very scary. I'm not a very good athlete. I'm not much of a fighter. I certainly can't dance. So, I had to figure out a way to get in and get out and without getting beat up every time I came to school. And I tried to diffuse situations and get to know people through humor, which, served me later in life. It helped me kind of move in and out of situations with the least amount of conflict.
All the places you listed seemed really cold, Chris. I wouldn't want to live in Cheyenne.
It's where they have to put the missile silos, Lisa.
Cold. I know. I'm just glad that we're married and live in Texas and that this is not happening now with you and me, like living in all those places together. That's
I don't know. Cheyenne seems really cool. Oh, I was just going to say, sorry, just to jump in here. I think it's great that you had that experience. I mean, I've always said, you have the gift of gab and you've got that going for you. You're also a really badass bass player too. So you've got that whole music background. So, did you kind of gravitate towards kids in school who played instruments or were you in the band at school?
I was, but music was just a way to meet people, right? Again, as I said before, you have to do something that gets you around other people, and particularly in middle school and high school, playing an instrument. That was really what kind of got me socializing with other people, and kind of, helped me carry me through college.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we have this guest coming up who is a remarkable military brat, Patti Wood. Her father was a prisoner of war and during Vietnam. I mean, could you imagine being 10 years old and then your father being a prisoner of war and then coming home almost 6 years later? And then it's just, I mean, here we are honoring military brat, and she is the ultimate military brat. And I'm really looking forward to talking with her.
Yeah, me too. Describing her as a brat of a prisoner of war veteran is, just saying those words gives me chills. So I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with her.
Yeah. So Chris, thank you so much for joining the Brats today and sharing a little bit about your background. You are a punk brat. There are three of us. I call us Salt and Peppa, and you are Spinderella. Like, you make it all happen. But you are a punk brat, and we do love you and appreciate all that you do for our program.
Yes, and I prefer to be called Salty.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly welcome, and I can give you, coming from you from deep in the heart of Texas.
I love that. And he is an Air Force brat. We're Army brats. Yeah. We like to pick on Chris. I think when we were first dating, he didn't even tell me he was a military brat for the first couple of months. And not just that, an officer's kid. So, but we really.
And as I always like to say to you, you never asked.
And by the way, I met my husband through my sister Rose because they were both at UT together. Lived in the same dorm. Yeah. And when Chris was in a band, apparently, I don't know the full story, but Rose jumped up on stage and had a good time singing Slayer with him or something like that, right? We have about a minute here. So tell us that story. Tell us that quick.
I'm going to let Rose tell the story.
Something close to that. We were out in the middle of nowhere and going to a party, and Chris and Tim roll up, and their band is playing this party. And they're singing, I think it was Chris was singing a Slayer song, or was going to sing a Slayer song, and his voice let out. And I'm not sure if you asked if anybody in the audience knew the words or something, or maybe I just took it upon myself to jump up on stage and sing.
Which song by Slayer? Yeah, Rain Blood.
No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Raining Blood. Wasn't it Angel of Death?
Oh, yeah, it was Angel of Death.
Angel of Death.
Angel of Death.
Now everybody who's listening right now is going to be listening on music like, what is this song?
Yeah, it was the Royal Order of Python's party.
Yes,
and we had already played our set twice, and they were like, because we had about 9 songs, and they said, we want you to play again, and I'm like, I can't sing Slayer a third time, and so Rose jumped up on stage with Jana, and you guys belted out.
It was so
marching
much fun.
To the Kingdom of the Death.
What year was that?
That would have been like 88, maybe late 80s.
Probably.
Wow. Somewhere around there.
The best introduction.
I was only 7 years old, so I don't remember.
Well, it's the best introduction.
Then I must have been about 6.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's the best introduction you ever got at UT because I married Chris and we have 2 beautiful daughters because of it. And Chris and I have been together for 35 years this year. And I love you. Thank you so much for being with us today, Chris. I appreciate everything you do for the Punk Brats.
And I appreciate you having me on Punk Brats. And I'm super excited about this episode and your upcoming guests. So see you later.
Yeah. See you later.
See you later.
Hey, Rose, we interviewed my hubby. Thank you for doing that with me. And how cool. I'm excited about hearing this back.
Yeah. Well, we interviewed my brother-in-law. Thank you for doing that with me.
We'll have Craig on here soon. Okay. Well, I'm excited about bringing out our next guest. My gosh, I've already got goosebumps just thinking about her story, so I'm honored and think it's a privilege that we have this opportunity to speak with Patti Wood. So,
well, yeah, as you mentioned earlier, our guest this month is very unique. She is Air Force brat Patti Fleenor Wood, and she's going to be sharing with us her experiences of being a brat of a prisoner of war veteran. And I'm looking forward to hearing her story.
Yep. Let's bring her out. Welcome, Patti Wood, to our podcast today, Punk Brats. Welcome, Patti. I'm Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for welcoming me. And hopefully I can answer your questions in not stumble too much.
Hi, Patti. This is Rose.
Hi, Rose.
I'm the other punk brat and Lisa's sister.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And you look like sisters.
Oh, what a pleasure it is to be able to speak with you, and what an honor as well.
Big honor.
Well, thank you. That's very nice.
I mean, Rose and I've been doing this. This is our second season. We've had a few guests on here, but I must say I'm really looking forward to talking to you because I feel like you are, I mean, we're all unique, but you are definitely very unique in your story. Especially unique for our, so for our listeners. Go on, Rose. Why don't you kick it off?
So, first we'd like to get to know you a bit. Can you tell us where you were born, where you've lived, how many times you might have moved, if you went to different schools, or if you were a unique brat and got to stay in the same place?
No, I was born in Laredo, Texas. Dad was, of course, stationed there. My two younger, I have 4 sisters and a brother, but 2 of the sisters are younger than me, and all 3 of us were born in Laredo.
Oh, okay. Native Texans.
Mm-hmm. I can claim that. We moved a couple of times. We moved to Missouri, Meridian, Missouri. I was very little, so I don't really remember it. Then we lived in Tucson, Arizona. I was in grade school then. And then we moved. We didn't move as much because of the circumstances of my dad, and I'll get to that. But we moved to Virginia after that. Dad was stationed at the Staff College in Norfolk, Virginia. And then we moved from Norfolk to Hampton, Virginia. And that's where I went to high school. And graduated from there and went to we moved to Texas. I'm sorry. We moved to San Antonio when Dad was at Randolph Air Force Base. And then I graduated from high school at Randolph, and then came up to Austin and went to UT from 75 to 79. I graduated in 79.
Rose is a Longhorn.
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em. You know, Patti, you kind of stumbled there saying like where you were from. When I have to think about all the places I lived, I have to like count it down too, because I either forget a move or I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just so many places to remember.
Yes, yes.
And speaking of that, Patti, because you've moved so many times, how does it make you feel when somebody asks you where you're from? Like, how do you answer that question?
Well, I tell them right off the bat, I'm a military brat. So Texas is my home because I was born in Texas, and now I've been in Texas since I was in high school. So, I didn't grow up in one particular place, as y'all know, as they're military brats, but we spent most of my life in Texas. So,
you mentioned you went from Arizona to Virginia. You went from hot to cold.
Yeah. Yeah. It was quite an adjustment. But
where was your favorite place?
I love Texas.
You love Texas? Me too.
And San Antonio was where we lived and where I went to school. And I've never left Texas since then. This is my home.
Rose and I had the pleasure of going to Randolph Brooks base. Randolph Brooks. Yeah, it's Randolph Brooks, right? Base. Randolph.
I think it's just Randolph.
It's Randolph.
Yeah.
Brooks.
So Rose and I went there not too long ago, just a couple of months ago. And I'm sure it's changed since you were on that base, but I tell you what, it's huge. It was like being in another city.
Yeah, it wasn't that big when I was there. I'm not sure how they expanded, whether they already owned more land around there or what, but it was not a big base at the time. I mean, it was big. It was, they had all the schools there. But I haven't been back there in many, many years. So I would be shocked, I'm sure, when I saw the place.
Well, let me just share with you. We were at the base exchange, and when we walked into the base exchange, it was like walking into a modern shopping mall.
Oh, wow.
So even for me, going back to when in my childhood, the base exchange or the post exchange, it wasn't anything really spectacular or special,
We didn't have name brand stuff.
Yeah, they had name brand things. They had little kiosks like they do in the mall. They had a food court.
Starbucks.
Wow, this is really cool. I wish this was around when I was a child.
Yeah, it was nothing like that when I was growing up. And
no, right?
I'm older than you guys, so it was
age is just a number.
Sure is.
Well, tell us. I mean, I know we're going to get up to talking about your father, but I mean, so before we get to that, but before the circumstances with your father, were you a happy military brat? Were there happy memories of, as being a military brat? Anything?
Well, yeah, there was. There were also hard times because when you get up and have to move and leave your friends, that's always really hard. It was very dramatic when we were kids, oh, I can't leave my friends. And, but it was
very dramatic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it was always great when you got somewhere else, you made new friends and everything was always fine. And you got to experience, meeting new people and being in a new place and experiencing the differences in the different states. So yeah, it was a great experience at the time, so you can't take me away from my friends, but, we always made new friends.
Well, we talked about that, how we were separate, like our parents had the time to prepare for their separation, like to say goodbye to their friends because they knew they were going to be leaving. And for the kids, we were given 2-3 weeks notice, like pack up, we're out of here.
Yeah.
There was a reason for that. They didn't want us hounding them and crying and
exactly. Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, we touched on the subject of your dad. I wanted to know if you could share your story. Your dad, Brigadier General Kenneth R. Fleenor. You want to take it from here?
Yeah, tell us his story, please. It's amazing.
Well, he was stationed in, he went to Vietnam. It was his second tour there, flying an F-4 fighter jet and dropping bombs in Vietnam. And obviously his plane got shot down and we didn't know whether he was alive for over 2 years. We finally got word that he was identified as a prisoner of war. And then it was another almost 3 years before the war ended and the prisoners were released. While he was there, he was able to write a letter that was about 6 lines long. That was all they allowed him. And we only got maybe 2 a year. At Christmas time, they were allowed to write a full page letter, but just that one time.
And Patti, how old were you when your mother got the phone call that he was missing in action?
I was 10.
Wow.
So I was young. Yeah, I was a middle of 5. So my older siblings were teenagers,
and he was taken to Hanoi Hilton. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
He never talked about the way he was treated, but we know how he was, and we read about it. But he never wanted to talk about it because he didn't want us to relive those things in our mind, the things that happened to him. He did have some limitations from the torture that happened there. He had limited use of his hands. They shackled him and so hard that the blood flow was cut off from his hands.
Wow.
So he had a lot of difficulty using his hand, and his handwriting got really, really bad. It was amazing that he could actually write. But the rest of him, you would have never known he ever suffered any trauma. He was just jumped right back into family life and being a father, continuing his career in the Air Force. He went on to be a general before he retired. And he was just, you would have never known. that he ever went through what he went through. Very, very amazing. I was just, we were all in awe of him all the time because he just was so strong and so loving to his family. He just jumped right back into family life. And it was an adjustment for us to have him back. And it was an adjustment for him to be home. But it all went really smoothly. And we just kind of picked up where we left off. And went back to being involved in the service, and it was great. I mean,
so as a military, while your father was away, did life just go on for you guys? You stayed on the military base, went to the school. I mean, did your friends know your father was missing? And did people look at you and say, "Wow, that her father's missing in action," or is a prisoner of war?
How did your family cope?
Well, we had to move off base. We weren't, because he wasn't there. So we weren't able to live on base anymore.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's surprising.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
I'm shocked to hear that.
Well,
and your mom became a single mom raising all of you guys.
Yeah. Just five kids. No big deal.
And Patti, how old were you when just tell us the experience. Like how did y'all find out the news that he was coming home, and how old were you when he finally came home?
Well, I'll go back to when we found out he was actually declared a prisoner.
Oh yeah, please do. Sorry. Yeah,
that was a letter that he had been writing letters to us, but we didn't get them right away. We finally got a letter, and that's how we knew that he was still alive. And that was, I don't remember exactly how long that was, but it was over a year, maybe a year and a half before we knew that he was actually still alive. And then he was allowed to write, I think I mentioned this before, short letters, like 6 lines, every couple of months. And he tried to give, my mom, tried to give him some clues about things that were going on. Like he got promoted to lieutenant colonel, and she told him, that we bought a pet eagle. She bought a pet eagle for the kids so that he would know he got promoted.
Wow.
Yeah.
How clever.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you couldn't come right out and say it, so you had to get around it. My mom was smart, but
wow.
I don't. Where was I going? I'm lost.
No, you were telling about how your mom, your dad, you get letters from him, and how did that lead up to like you getting letters from your dad? You guys knew he was safe and alive, but did he receive your letters, and did you get his? You said that you didn't always receive them.
We got some. We didn't get all of them, and the same went the other way. My mom wrote all the time. He got, I don't know exactly how many he got, but he got maybe half of the mail that was sent over there.
Well, I learned something new. I didn't know our prisoners of war had the opportunity to even write letters. I just thought they were like in seclusion.
Me too. I thought they were just shut off from all communication.
Well, you would think so, but there were people over there trying to gain rights for the prisoners. People, and I can't tell you the names of the groups, but there were people over there making sure that that the prisoners were treated humanely. They were not treated great, but and that they had certain rights, and the right would be to be able to communicate with their family. And it was very limited, but they did allow it because it was part of, kind of an agreement that they have to make with the government in Vietnam that they had to allow those kinds of things. So the family could at least know that they were okay. And that was really for their benefit, because we need, that in the eyes of the world, the world needed to know that Vietnam was treating these people, humanely. Not, it wasn't great, but
thank God for those groups and organizations to look after your father and the other heroes.
Yes, we were very grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm curious to know, how do you think your dad's experiences as a prisoner of war, how did that influence, your own perspective on life and, your resiliency and maybe adversity? I mean, how did it affect you personally, basically? That's what I'm asking.
Well, it was during the time that he was gone and missing, and then even when he was declared a prisoner, it was terrifying all the time because you never knew what was happening to him. Mm-hmm. We didn't get to speak to him, and we knew if we did, he would say everything was fine. But it was just, you had to adjust to it. You didn't have a choice. You could be terrified and scared and worried all the time, or you had to just go on with your life. So mm-hmm. We tried not to dwell too much on what was happening with him. We knew what was going on to the best of our ability, but he wouldn't have wanted us to fret and cry and be sad, worried about him, even though we were.
Right.
He didn't want his family to suffer. And, of course
right.
he did. And so.
Of course.
So then that leads up to, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say we all kind of had different perspectives because there was a range in ages of the kids, of 5 kids. But we all had in common the fact that we were scared and worried and fearful that something bad was going to happen to him. And,
military families and military spouses are very resilient.
Yeah.
Yes.
Goes to show.
Well, that's what I was going to. So I asked you too early. Now that you've told us about how your dad got taken as prisoner of war, how old were you when he came home?
I was just shy of my 16th birthday.
Okay. 16th birthday. And then you said your siblings, you have a couple of older siblings?
I have 2 older siblings and 2 younger siblings.
So I don't know how much older the 2 are, but I figured, did your dad, like you said, each child had a different experience because of the age difference, Mm-hmm. And I guess your older siblings would have to help to step up and help take care of the younger siblings. Because again, gosh, your mom becoming a single mom to 5 kids. And you said 2 were younger than you and you were 10.
Yes.
Your mom is an amazing woman.
Yeah.
Strong.
She was incredible. But she will tell you that she didn't have a choice. She did what she had to do. And, she's right. She had this huge responsibility of raising these kids and, not knowing whether he was coming back or whether he was even alive for part of that time. I don't know how she did it we all marveled at the strength that she mustered up to be able to do what she did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But she didn't have a choice. And so she did an amazing job considering what was happening and that she could have had a nervous breakdown and just, not been able to cope. And she didn't. She became as strong as my dad was. And plus she had my 2 older siblings to help her with us. And my brother is 4 years older than me and my sister is 5 years older than me. So there was a big age difference there. The ones younger than me were all about a year apart. So there were the 3 young ones and the 2 older ones that helped a lot with my mom.
When they told you, your family, that you had to move off base, out of base housing, where did you go?
We just bought a house outside of the base and stayed, where we were until we moved to Virginia because that's where my mom had some close friends. And then my older brother and sister ended up going to college in Virginia. And then, me and my 2 younger sisters went to school, but then we moved. When Dad came home, I was almost 16. And he immediately got stationed at Randolph and we moved to San Antonio, and we were devastated to leave our friends because we had lived there for 5 years.
Wow. He immediately went back to work?
Oh yeah. Wow. I mean, he was given some R&R, of course, to reacclimate and to spend time with the family. Mm-hmm. And we went on that. They actually paid for us to go on a trip, and we went down to Florida to the beach, and then duty kicked in, and we got stationed in. We ended up in San Antonio at Randolph, and that's where me and my younger siblings went to high school.
Yeah,
and then went off to college.
Mm-hmm. I have a quick question. So where were you when you found out that your dad was coming home? And tell us about that reunion. Oh my gosh, right? I got goosebumps and she hasn't even talked yet.
Oh my goodness. Well, I was at home. My mom got a phone call, and I could hear her screaming, and we all were home at different parts of the house and came running to figure out what was going on. And she said, "He's coming home. He's coming home." And it was, I don't even know how to describe it, because it was just so emotional and so amazing and exciting and scary and all of the things at the same time. We didn't know what he was going to be like when he came home. We didn't know how he was going to, how he went through was going to affect him, and, how badly he was going to be in shape physically, because there was a lot of torture, a lot of mistreatment. So, we were anxious and worried, but we were also very excited, obviously, that he was going to finally get out of there and come home and be with his family. So,
how quickly did he come? How long did it take from the time that y'all found out he was coming home that he actually came home?
Well, I don't know exactly, but it was just a matter of weeks.
Okay.
And they had different groups come at different times, so it took a little time to get everybody back. They couldn't bring them all back at one time. So,
what an amazing story, Patti.
Well, he was amazing. He was an amazing man.
Patti, we have talked about first of all, thank you for sharing that story with us about your father. Amazing. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm going to catch you off guard here and totally change everything around, but you're not safe from this. We're about to put you through the lightning round.
Okay. So, if I stumble, forgive me. I'll do my best.
Go on, Rose. Explain it and tell our audience what the lightning round is.
I think they all know by now, but it is just some random questions that have nothing to do with each other. And it's just so that we can get to know you, Patti, a little better. So I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, and you just say the first thing that comes to your mind. And if you can't think of anything, you can just say pass, and I'll pass it.
And we'll come back to it. Yeah. Cool. Let's do this.
Well, we may or may not. Okay. Okay, here we go. Dogs, cats, or both?
Dogs. I do not like cats.
Where is one place you have never visited that you would like to visit?
Europe. I never got out of the United States.
Oh, wow.
Okay. What is the best compliment you have ever received?
Oh, that's a tough one.
You're a beautiful lady. I'm sure you've heard you're beautiful.
Well, I have, but I'm getting older now, so not so beautiful anymore, but I try.
You're very beautiful.
Well, thanks. I think probably the best compliment I've ever gotten is just that I am compassionate and caring, and people see that in me, and that makes me feel very good. That makes me feel like a good human being.
You are, Patti.
Well, I'd like to compliment you and say that I think you're all of the above.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, so do you crave sweet or savory food?
sweet, unfortunately.
Okay. And do you prefer heels, flats, or sneakers?
Sneakers.
There it comes.
I went through a period of wearing heels, but I could
I like
walk
sneakers.
across the room in them now. So
Okay. Next question, window or aisle seat?
a window.
Me too. So are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird. For sure.
And what is your favorite color?
Blue.
Do you like surprises?
Yes and no. That's fair.
Okay.
I don't like to be taken too far off guard, but a nice surprise is always good.
Okay. And finally, what is the cutest thing on planet Earth?
My dog.
Oh, we got to hear your dog bark a little. I was hoping you would say your dog.
She's adorable. Her name's Chloe. She's a miniature golden doodle, and she is the cutest thing.
Oh.
Patty, you made it through the lightning round with Rose.
Oh, great. I did okay.
I think you did wonderfully.
You know,
Thank-
Patty, thank you so much. As military brats, we have talked to so many guests and we talked about our challenges, like, you know, for losing our ID card, getting lost somewhere downtown Tokyo on a train and
Making it back to base before curfew.
yeah. But I can't imagine the challenges that your siblings had because your situation, your circumstances were so unique, you know, and your parents obviously did an outstanding job because, I mean, you're successful. We got to read about you and know about you, and your parents are just awesome people. And thank you for sharing about them.
Yes. I could never say enough good about my parents. They were amazing individuals.
Yes. And thank you to your father for his service to our country, his sacrifice, your family's sacrifice,
Yes, thank
above
you.
and beyond.
Yeah.
I have no words. Only
Yeah,
that I'm
I mean, I
honored
just-
to talk to you.
I just can't compare, you know, our brathood to your brathood. It was a completely different experience for you.
It was, but you know, I always say when people say, "How did you do it?" I always say, "Well, I didn't have a choice. None of us had a choice. We had to figure out how to get through it, and we did. Because the alternative is to fall apart and go crazy, and we didn't go that way. So,
Well, your mother was the foundation of your family. Obviously, she kept all of you guys rounded and strong, and you all persevered through something that's just unimaginable. So,
yeah, but my mom my dad told her when he got home that she was the hero, not him.
Oh,
wow. Oh, we hear her.
There she is.
We hear her. Hey, she let us get through the
went in
interview.
before the end.
Well, yeah, we're coming here to the end. Rose, anything last you want to say to Patty?
no, just thank you once again for speaking with us and being our special guest during our month of the military brat.
Oh my gosh,
Thank you
we're
so
just now
much.
bringing that up with Patty. That's what we were just talking about.
Also, Patty, if there's anything that you want to plug or you want to say, or if you don't, that's fine too. But just wanted to give you an opportunity to close us out if you'd like.
Yes, it is. Oh, I'm sorry, Patty. I just, like Rose said, it is Military Brat Month. And so it's our month.
Well, I did not know that. And that's great. It's been so long since I was a military brat. I have to dredge up the memories and the feelings that I had back then because it's been so long. But it was not a life that I would have ever traded for anything else. It was amazing. It was a chance to learn how to make new friends all the time and adjust and acclimate to new environments. And it was a very good learning experience in all those ways. And I feel very blessed that I had that life. It was, it made me who I am today. And I'm grateful for that.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. Thank you both
All right.
for including me in your podcast. I feel honored.
Absolutely.
Well, here's another thing Rose is going to
honor.
tell. Yeah, total honor. But here's another thing Rose is going to teach you about military brats. What don't we ever say?
We
Yeah.
I almost took Rose's.
I think you should go ahead, Lisa, and take it away.
Yeah, I was like, I'm telling you. Patty, can you tell we're sisters?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Well, she's older.
We gotta yell at each other.
She's older. I did interrupt her. Go ahead, Rose. Take it away.
I was just going to say that, first of all, once a military brat, you're always a military brat.
Oh,
yes. Yes.
Oh,
yeah. And you're part of our crew now. So you're actually a punk brat.
Yes.
And on that note, we don't ever say goodbye. We always say see you later because, our paths cross all over this world all the time. So see you later.
See you later.
So much. I enjoyed it. And I'm honored that you included me.
Absolutely, Patti. We'll see you later.
Wow. That was amazing. I still have chills from this interview.
I just could not imagine, it just makes me want to call Dad right now and just give him a big hug. Please, if y'all have a story out there that you want to share with us, please do. Our phone number is 512-254-5989. Email us at info@punkbrats.com or learn more about us on our website at www.punkbrats.com. We're on social media. Look for us. Thank you, Patti, for joining us today and sharing that remarkable story with us. And I know there's more to hear out there, so call the Punk Brats. Rose, you going to say anything?
Well, that's kind of good that there's this little pause because I'm sorry, I was still just trying to process the interview.
Yeah.
It was just so remarkable. And that her disposition and just the way that she was able to talk about it, just so I don't know, so matter of fact, I guess.
I know, right? I bet. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure she's told the story a million times, but just the way she was speaking, it just, God bless her and her family. And I'm so happy that her father came home and they could have so many more years together. So,
yeah, me too.
Thank you to your service, Brigadier General Fleenor, and just all of those who didn't come home, right? So, never forget. Never forget.
Never forget.
All right, Rose. Well, we're another episode done.
Wow. That flew by.
Always does. Always does. Mm-hmm. So, on that note, Rose, I'm going to say on air, I love you. And I'll see you later.
All right. Love you too. See you later.
Hey, Lisa and Rose. My name is Amber, and I'm calling from Dallas, Texas. Go Cowboys. I am a punk brat grandchild, so both my grandfathers were in the military for over 20 years. So I love hearing about all of y'all's fun stories living overseas. My question for you two is, what is it like adjusting to the different languages? I assume that whenever y'all are on base, English is pretty much spoken, but whenever you're off of base or when you're at the restaurants or the stores, did y'all have to learn a different language? Are y'all fluent in any other languages besides English? I would love to know how that's like. I can't wait to hear more of y'all's stories. Thank you. Bye.